Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our videos. I am Rachel Wexler. I am an art law attorney working with clients in New York, New Jersey, and Colorado. And I am here with George Ryan, who established Rainbow Life Agency. And we're celebrating because last month he officially became licensed by the New York Department of Health to match families with surrogates in New York. So that's very exciting. And we are going to talk a little bit about the eligibility requirements that you can expect to see if you are thinking about doing a surrogacy journey in New York. So George, thank you so much for being here with me today. And I'll let you take it away.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me on your webinar. So let's start with ASRM requirements are very important in the surrogacy industry. They help guide clinics, agencies, and even the state of New York used their requirements. So I thought I'd start there. And these requirements are firm. They are not flexible, the ones I'm going to mention right now, except for the first one, which is age. The ASRM requirements specify 21 to 45. That is flexible, obviously not too much on the younger end, but it is more flexible on the older end. So I don't think a lot of people think of themselves as surrogates at the age of 40, let's say. So I think that's an interesting fact. So the next is obstetrician clearance. You do have to speak with your obstetrician and get clearance from them that it's okay to be pregnant and undergo IVF treatments. You have to be in good health for obvious reasons. We don't want anything to go wrong. Let's see. So next is free from illicit and non-illicit drugs. Obvious reasons.
Very important.
Very important. We want a healthy baby. At least one term, what they call I call full term delivery. So you should have one child that you delivered, and what they call uncomplicated. So that's both pregnancy and delivery. So you should not have any complications in your pregnancy history. Obviously, that goes for all of your deliveries. So if you had 3 children, then they should be uncomplicated pregnancies and deliveries. Speaking of children, so if you have already had 5 childbirths, and they use that because it does not include early miscarriages, because miscarriages early on are very common. So, but they don't want any more than 5 childbirths. That is a firm hard line. The next is no more than 3 cesareans. So if you had 4 children and 3 of those were cesareans, then that would be the limit. You could have 1 more child or surrogate child, and you would be okay. You have to go through a mental health and preparedness. That also includes your partner. It could be, a domestic partner or a married partner. And you have to be free from STDs at the time, also your partner as well, at the time of screening. So obviously, if you had one in the past, it's cleared up, no problem. That happens. Let's see, free from infectious diseases. So, HIV, the serious ones, or even non-serious. I mean, sometimes like COVID, it's an infectious disease, but that clears up. So those don't count. But at the time of screening, then you should be free from any infectious disease. That's to protect everybody. And the last one on this part of the list is informed risk informed of the risks and potential adverse effects of pregnancies and IVF. I was going over the IVF risks, and mostly they have to do with egg retrievals, which would count for egg donors. You could be an egg donor if you wanted to, but that would be separate from your surrogacy. You cannot be genetically related, which I think is on the next list, but actually should be on this list because that's a requirement in New York State, at least.
Yes.
You cannot be genetically.
Yeah. In New York, people are not allowed to do traditional or genetic surrogacy by law. Correct.
Exactly. So that's the ASRM list. Again, very important for the surrogacy space. Some additional requirements and standards would include U.S. citizen or legal resident, at least for us. You know, that varies throughout the country, but for Rainbow Life, you have to be a U.S. citizen or legal resident, as well as a New York State resident for at least 6 months. That's in the law. So that's not mine.
Yes, the law also includes the U.S. citizen and permanent resident. So those unfortunately are, very strict. Can't really get around them if you want to be surrogate in New York.
But to be honest, if most of these requirements are at the time of signing contracts. So if you're interested in being surrogate and you just moved to New York State a month ago, it's going to take time anyway to get everything completed, all the screenings and paperwork. So that would count for at the time of contracts. So you would have time to get started anyway. So if you're planning on moving, you want to settle in anyway. So a BMI, if you don't know what that is, it's a ratio between height and weight. You are allowed up to 35, which is the border of severe. So moderate overweight is just under 35. However, I did not put that as a hard line because there are a lot of studies as to the body types of people, and some BMIs are more acceptable in certain body types. So again, that's up to the clinic in the end. They're the ones who understand how that affects pregnancy the best. So no criminal background, that is, and I didn't put a absolute on that because maybe you got arrested for trespassing on when you were protesting or something, those don't count. But in general, a no criminal background is a good guideline. We require good credit. We want to make sure you are financially stable. We check your driver's license just to make sure that there's no other big negative points against your license, like drunk driving. That would be a bad one. But if you have a speeding ticket, I think that would pass. Another requirement is partner consent. That is for sure. You have to have partner consent, married or unmarried, as long as they're living with you. So a domestic partner, that is a requirement. I don't know. Does that go farther than Rainbow Life? Is that pretty standard?
I was just going to add there that when it comes to signing the surrogacy contract, it's not necessarily law, but everybody, attorneys and agencies often do require that if a surrogate is married or, she lives with her partner, that the partner is a party to the contract. And that's important just so that the partner knows, what the expectations and obligations of the contract and of the match are. And also, of course, it's important for certain things like having sex around the time of the transfer and
And the
STDs
tests
and things like that. Yeah,
right. So yeah, we would call it a best practice.
exactly.
Another item is have a dependable source of income. That kind of goes with the credit, but yes, you do want to have a job. Being a surrogate, you do get paid, or you could do it voluntarily, but mostly surrogates get paid, but it's not a job. You don't want to have to depend on that money for your living. Another important fact is great with communication. There's a lot of individuals involved. There's a lot of paperwork and records to go through. So you have to be able to communicate and address things directly and quickly, reasonably fast. Now, the ones I like to add at the end are sort of just personality. I think most surrogates love being a mom and want to share that experience with others. I think that surrogates that feel family is the most amazing part of life also want to share that with others and just enjoy helping others. It's a very selfless, giving, human to human interaction. It's just I have a son through surrogacy, and I still talk to my surrogate. She loves seeing him grow up. It's just amazing. I always say thank you to her, and she always says, I wish I could have another one for you. And I was like, no, she's so giving, So that's all the requirements I have today. It's quite a long list. It is difficult to be a surrogate. I mean, some people want to be one, but they, one of the things does not allow them to. So it is quite a select, bunch of wonderful women.
Yeah, I think that it is a long list, and it might feel, cumbersome and overwhelming for people who are, intended parents or people thinking of becoming surrogates. But I think it's important to know that these requirements and best practices are really there to protect everyone. I mean, being pregnant is a risk, that people are taking. So many different things can happen. So the requirements really are there to make sure that we have the best outcomes. And I think that New York, with requiring agencies to be licensed like yours just became, that is a great mechanism to make sure that all the agencies are following these requirements and making sure that everyone is protected. So thank you so much, George, for
You're welcome.
talking about that with me today. And stay tuned. We're going to do a few more videos coming up in the future. And if anyone has particular questions about the surrogacy process in New York, please feel free to reach out to either one of us. We are here as resources. So thank you so much.
Thank you again.